Sam Fischer back on the show. Bro, how you doing? I know you're out in LA. What's been happening?
Hey, my guy, how are ya? It's so good to be back. You know what? I'm actually in London, which is
London.
it's been a very fascinating has been a year and a half since we last spoke.
Yeah, about 18 months, I'd say. You out there writing a song about, how much you're over London? Is that the plan?
It seems that anywhere I go, I find something to hate about and write about. But no, I love London. I love LA as well. It's just the first 6 years that I lived there, I was totally broke. And also a lot of like awful things happened to me. And in London has treated me with respect always.
And so since, you did 6 years in LA where you were kind of, it was really tough. And as much as I'm sure you loved it, there was probably parts about that you hated. How have the last 2 years, I guess, been, obviously it's been pandemic, but I guess your career wise, it's been on the upward spiral.
Yeah. I don't have a lot to complain about when it comes to my career. I'm sure I can find stuff. No, I mean, like it has been amazing. I can't thank everyone enough for all the love and support. I've got an amazing team, and it really does take a village because there were things that there are things that you dream of when you're younger and you're thinking, oh, if I have a hit, like maybe I get to do all these, whatever, have all these different experiences. I still got to have them, but they were virtual. And so I had them on a screen. And so it was this bittersweet thing where I was like, God, like, I know I need to be grateful. I know I need to be stoked about this, but it's so hard to not think like, how is a once in a century pandemic stopping me from living out like the things I was supposed to live out? So
Yeah, well,
it
because
has
you
been
had
amazing.
you had the opportunity to do Ellen during the pandemic. Did you think, and luckily enough, you got to do it again in person. But
Yeah.
when you got to do it for this city, was that going through your mind like, this is my moment and I don't get to really get a full 100% experience of it?
Of course. Of course. And it stuck to have those thoughts because it really was an amazing thing. Like we filmed my This City Ellen shoot on different buildings in downtown LA.
Hmm.
And like when I think about who I am, where I'm from, a Sydney boy getting to do that kind of stuff is so ridiculous and so cool.
Hmm.
But it's still, it was definitely not like I didn't get to go to the studio and I didn't get to meet Ellen. I didn't get to perform on a set. And I never got to perform This City in real life, I guess. It was all virtual. So yeah, it was bittersweet, but it's still really cool it happened.
And did it make going and getting to do it with Demi Lovato, I guess, that much better because you had thought that, you know what, like maybe this won't happen again?
Yeah, I mean, for my first live TV performance to be with Demi on Ellen and then get to sit on the couch and have a chat with her. It was a bit, that definitely made up for a lot. It was pretty cool.
So do you know how did Scooter Braun end up hearing the track and passing it on to Demi Lovato?
I wish it was like a more romantic story of like, I got a DM from Demi and then we were talking and I was like, I have this song and whatever. But no, it was pretty official channels. It was kind of like, I had this song that I'd written and it was very much my story, but also felt very much Demi's story. And Demi had heard it. It basically, my publisher and my manager sent it to Scooter. Scooter heard it. Within like 48 hours, Demi had heard it and it was kind of just on.
Yeah. How are you feeling about, Australians, and the success that we're starting to see? I feel like you were
Oh my
really at the
God.
forefront along with your, like your tones and eyes. And ever since it's just skyrocketed.
Well, I see, like I've always said, Australia has the best voices in the world. We've got the coolest songwriting. We've got some incredible artists that just don't get a shot at the global level just purely because of like I don't know, like funding. Like it's really expensive to go and do like an international marketing and radio campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So like I totally understand why, but it's so cool to see Tones blowing up the way that she has. And like now, like, you know, Kid Laroi, Mars Singer, Dean, you know, I don't know, I guess I'll put myself in that. Aim Shark, like it's really cool. Like it's super cool. I mean,
what's changed? Has something changed?
I don't know.
That's allowed
Honestly,
it?
Maybe it's just like the rise of social media.
Social
and
media.
in a way brings the world, I don't know, closer. But you know, like Tones was busking Dance Monkey years before it blew up all over the world. So it's kind of, I don't know, music is just having, it's in a really like interesting spot where songs that might be years old are getting a shot to really go.
Yeah. Well, it was the same with Astronaut in the Ocean. I mean, that was 2 years old, that song before, and that was released properly and everything, but it just took
same with The City.
Time. And so for you, I never knew until just recently, but before we spoke last time, you know, you had moved out to LA with the plan of a label deal, and that kind of fell through early on, you know.
Story of my life.
Well, what was it like for you, you know, when you got out there and that kind of happened? You know, was there ever a sense of, you know, I might just run back to Australia, or was it
there was, well, in the immediate, it was just like devastating.
It was like
yeah, I was like a full fucking broken man. No, there was never a time when I thought that this wasn't what I was supposed to be doing, whether it was writing for others, whether it was being in the music industry at some point. But I like, you know, everyone back home I lied to. I was like, I'm killing it. Like, look at me. I'm like in front of the Rock Nation building. But no, like I just been told that I wasn't about to like do anything. No, it's just, I don't know, like sheer arrogance, blind arrogance, that this would one day work out for me. But I did not see myself getting to where I am now, having been close so many times, having been dropped by a label, having been like abused by people, having to fire my whole team and start again. Like there have just been things that I look back on now and I'm like, God, like who did I think I was? Like why? I had no reason to think to be so resilient. And it just kind of, I don't know, like there's nothing else I can do. So it was either music or like, I don't know. But going back to Australia, like I would have loved to go home. I really would have. But I think I had, you know, my mom had spent so much time and money and emotion putting me through college and just supporting me. And so I kind of was like, you know what, like I need to make this work. I need to hustle. I need to get to where I need to go for my mom. And she'd hate me for saying that, but that was a lot of it. Like it was like, and on top of that, it was like a lot of, you know, when you make a major change in your life, it's really interesting to see critics or majorly support it.
Yeah.
And I will say, like a lot of the people in my life from when I lived in Australia, the majority of them were like, what are you doing? Like we all thought this was just like a far-fetched pipe dream that wasn't actually ever going to happen. Now you're actually following through with it. And what we really think is that you're out of your mind for doing it.
Has your mum forgiven you for lying to her about how well you were doing out there? I know you were pretty public about that during the City, you know, rollout. Does she take everything with a grain of salt now?
Well, I didn't tell her until this City was a hit. So, yeah, she's doing fine now. But she kind of, I don't know. My mom's a really strong woman. Like she was kind of proud of me. She's kind of like, you know, you did that yourself.
Yeah.
So kind of
did what you had to do to make it happen.
Exactly.
Let's talk about this new song. You know, you've released, it's called Hopeless Romantic. Are you a hopeless romantic? Is that part of Sam Fischer?
I guess I am. I am partly a hopeless romantic. So I write hopeless romantic perspective of like I have visions of grandeur about my life. And so I hopelessly romanticize my life. And then the reality doesn't always live up to what's in my head. And it's just kind of so that's the perspective I wrote it from. But I guess you call me a hopeless romantic, but my love language is very different to my wife's love language. So
what's yours? Because me and my wife were having this conversation the other day about, she was like, what's your love language? And I was like, I don't know, honestly. But so what's your love language and compared to your wife's?
Well, mine is, I feel like mine's the worst one. Like mine is like giving and receiving gifts.
Yes. See, that is me as well.
Yeah. And my wife's is like communication and quality time.
Yes. I almost didn't want to tell my wife. She asked me which one I was because I was like, I don't know. It feels a bit materialistic.
I know, exactly.
Those are the things that I feel like.
Exactly. Like sometimes I feel terrible. I'm like, no, I don't want to just like sit on the couch for hours and talk. I want you to like, get me like some craft beer I love.
Come home every day with a 6-pack of craft beer and I will be the happiest husband of the world. And she's like, just tell me how much you love me as you walk out the door and I'll be the happiest wife.
That's so sweet. That's kind of, yeah. Words of affirmation definitely go a long way with my wife as well.
But it's interesting that you said that, because I am automatically, when I thought hopeless romantic, I went to romance as in love. I didn't even think about romanticizing about, success or what you want, which is so interesting. And that's one of the things I love about music as well. And even this city, you could put yourself in the shoes of the song without having to have that actual example.
Well, I think that's the beauty of music. And like, I'm not a good enough writer to do what artists like Julia Michaels and JP Sachs and Sasha Sloan, who I adore, but their lyric is so specific that you're very much like painting the exact scene for someone to watch. Whereas I think in my writing, I don't try to, it's just that I can't do the other one, but it's more like setting a scene for someone to exist in, if that makes sense, instead of being on the outside of it. So I love the way that people are able to put themselves in my songs and just make the stories of the songs their own.
You do a great job of that. And I think I said in our first interview about this city and me putting myself in the perspective, and I spoke to other people who had done the same thing. So I think, give yourself some props on that and you do succeed in that. And I think last time we spoke was, you were about to go on this, the second leg of the Niall Horan tour. And I'm guessing,
my God. Is that when we spoke last?
Yeah, that's when we spoke last. But since then, you've got to do your own headline tour. Tell me about that experience for you.
It was amazing. It was, I guess, my whole life in waiting. It was in the making. It was incredible. I'd never played a show where people had bought tickets to come see me. I never played a show where people had come knowing the lyrics to my songs.
Nerve-wracking though?
No, like I love being on stage. Like I get butterflies, like anxious right before I go on, and then I go on and it's just like I become someone else. I feel like I'm my like best, sexiest, most confident, most talented self when I'm on stage. Like I'm my funniest self as well. Like my chat on stage I'm such an idiot on stage. I love it.
Do you every now and then you go like, where did I come up with that? That was really witty of me to say that on the spot. In normal life, I would just be like, I don't know what to say. Sometimes,
maybe not the funny stuff, but like the sentimental, emotional stuff. Sometimes I'm like, damn, that was good, dude. Like I said something so I played the Montreux Jazz Festival, which was unbelievable. And I said something about how I'm like disastrously human. And my fans like saw that and were like, disastrously human. Oh my God, me too. I love that. I was like, my manager was like, where'd you come up with that disastrously human line? I was like, I don't know.
On the spot.
Just the thrill of it all. But I I loved it. I love touring. This is what I've wanted to do since day dot of me being in music. And when the Nile tour was canceled, that was the hardest moment for me professionally during the pandemic. I wasn't fine with everything getting canceled, but I was at peace with it. Like I knew that everyone was going through the same thing. But when the Nile tour got canceled, that was like something so like tangible that had been locked in, that was so close to happening. And I had the routing, and I knew that the first show was like a 20,000 person shed in Texas that we were going to play. And there was so much that would have come along with the Nile tour in terms of growth for me and experiences for me, but also in terms of supporting this city. And there was a lot that like in my mind started racing through, and it's never a good time for me when my mind starts going like that. And so it just and it was weird because like I was totally prepared to cancel it. Like I was, you know, my manager, my team, everyone, my agent, it was all like, hey, like start emotionally preparing yourself for this to be canceled.
Yeah.
And I thought I had prepared myself, and I remember the day I like Instagram post of it, you know, Niall and I exchanged like a couple words and was just like, I'm so sorry. And it just I literally sat on my couch all day and just couldn't really like motivate myself to do anything. It was a tough scene.
Was there a specific moment or something that happened that pulled you out of it? Was there something that happened that made you go, all right, I'm over it. Let's move past it. This is the next step. What did it take?
Honestly, it was just like I took a day. I took a day of like really being upset about it. And then, you know, my manager just support me and love me. But it was I don't know, like it's one of those things where, and I'm like, you know, people feel this when they go through traumatic things. And I think we've all been through this very traumatic year where no one knows how to feel about it. And it's one of those things where you don't really get over, you just learn to live with. It's almost, my therapist was like, because I couldn't understand it. I didn't understand. I've knock on wood, I've never had a really close family member or someone I really love pass away. And my therapist was like, I think that you are going through the stages of grief, and what you're grieving is the life that was set out for you before the pandemic happened, because that's never going to come back. And I was like, what? I'm not grieving? Like, that's so ridiculous. Like how I'm grieving like a lost career opportunity. And he was like, yeah, but this is something you have wanted your entire life. This is like a friend you've known that has finally grown up and's taken your hand, and you're going to run with it. And I was like, okay. So I think I was just going through grief, and it was really difficult to move on from it. And it's only been in the last couple months, honestly, where I've turned a corner, and doing the tour really helped. And just I don't know, like it's just not worth living like that. It's not worth holding on to like what could have been, because so much was and so much happened. And I was so lucky to have the opportunities that I've had over the last year and a half, no matter how they played out. So yeah, it's just taken time and therapy to get over it.
Well, man, congratulations and good luck with, you know, your second aria nom. You know, let's hope you take it out. Massive one, Song of the Year this year. And it's just honestly great to see such amazing Australian music being not only recognized in Australia, but also globally. And I think that you are really at the forefront of pushing that as well, mate.
Thank you, man. That really means a lot. Cheers, bro.